So we're continuing the reassembly process on the Roadblaster cabinet, and this is the steering yoke, very similar to the Star Wars yoke. Of course, on the Roadblasters, the handles don't swivel back and forth. They're fixed. It's really just a glorified steering wheel with triggers on the front and in the back. Turn it around, you see that it's actually a pretty simple mechanism. You have the little PCB here. You have the little metal wheel here, this copper disc that spins as you rotate. And then I guess it measures the position based on the holes in this little reluctor ring, for lack of a better term. I'm not exactly sure how that works. Interesting, high science of the 80s. One thing that was missing on this steering wheel was the roll pin. You see this large roll pin inside here. It is a 2-inch by 3/8 roll pin, and it was completely gone, so I had no spring tension. This is the high technology. This is the centering technology, the recentering technology of the cabinet. Basically, it's just two springs that work against each other. So what you want to do is, upon reassembly, you want to go ahead, you can reassemble everything. The springs will be loose. You want to feed from the back side or the front side. I think I actually inserted it from this side so I could, with my hammer, tap it in and not have to worry about hitting anything. But you want to go ahead and engage one of the springs, tap it all the way through, or most of the way through. Then when you come in from the back side, you want to have to twist, and you're going to have to use a tool to get in there and pull that spring around and engage the other spring, and then tap this all the way until you have a good portion, a large bit of roll pin sticking out, so it's going to give that spring something to grab onto on both sides. And when you do that, one spring will go one way, one spring will go the other way. Okay, let's go ahead and get this in the cabinet. Of course, all the hardware has been repainted. Okay, I had to go ahead and take this off of the cabinet because it was kind of annoying. But what we want to do is, using a light to help guide you, see that this is going to be the hardest ones to get to, is going to be down here. So I thought I'd go ahead and take a magnet and put the washer on. See the washer hanging on right there, hanging on for dear life. And then we take our lock nut on the magnet. Let's go ahead and place it on there like so. If you can see, you kind of get started just a little bit, maybe just get like a half turn on it before the threads catch it, and you should be good to go. Okay, so moving on to the power supply. The power distribution center, basically this is what's going on here. The big old transformer, isolation transformer that I assume is for the monitor. And then you have the power supply over here that was added separately at some other time. There used to be a big power supply here. It was actually mounted to this tray here, this thick metal tray, and it was inoperable, so that someone, who knows when, it added this piece, and then they just sort of had the wires kind of roughly put on there. I went ahead and gathered them together and put them on a simple stake-on, and then ran it that way temporarily. But I decided to clean this up inside the cabinet and tidy it up. We're going to go ahead and get rid of this piece, which is gone right now. We're going to go ahead and replace this with a smaller more modern power supply, put it probably just like that, and mount it on the tray. And so then everything will be within the confines of this tray, tie it up, and get this power supply away from the game board, which actually sits right here. So you can see this was pretty tied up against that game board. So let's just buy ourselves a little bit of space here, free that up, mount this to the tray, and then swap all the wires over to the new power supply. Simple, right? Okay, so the new extension cord or the new power cord is installed, the proper ground plug. It was a little bit more involved than I thought. This is a pretty thick, you can see it's pretty thick metal plate that the switch mounts to, and then the old cord went through. This hole was not round. This hole was octagonal, I guess. It had a couple flat sides, and it wouldn't allow for this to fit through it. So I had to take my vise and some 3-in-1 oil and 3 different files and file this down so that it would accept it, but it fits now, looks great, and it's sort of future-proof. The switch is the stock switch, it's the stock wiring harness. If the switch ever goes bad, I should be able to replace that. Now with all the proper ends crimped, it should be easy. Now let's go ahead and install this, install the power supply, hook everything up, and then see if we got any spark. Another example of how these old cabinets can fight you every step of the way. I can get you in here and see. So, yeah, 2 screws were actually snapped off into the wood, there and there. So all I had was the 1 screw in the corner that was actually securing this plate, which is kind of important. It secures the incoming voltage. So you can see by the shavings down here, I had to drill through the plate there, and then add a stock screw and then another screw I had laying around. So just another example of, like I said, these things can fight you every step of the way, but it is important. Take the time and do it right. And here we have the completed install of the new power supply with new fasteners, with new zip ties securing things to the wall. Of course, the modified plate with the new incoming power cord. And I really just cleaned up the base. Didn't do too much to it, didn't paint it or anything, just cleaned it up. And of course, you know about the new low voltage power supply, stock transformer. And this whole back, this was just really just a matter of just cleaning it up. Take out the fuses and brush everything off. Hey, success! And it's always good to check to just verify that you're getting proper voltage out of your power supply, especially if you swap it out. So let's just verify real quick. We'll switch it to AC. Make sure we're getting a true. Okay, we're getting 119 in, so that little filter is working and doing its job. Switch over to digital, our direct current, and we should be getting, yep, 5.2 volts. Okay, so moving on to the foot pedal assembly, I was able to find some different plastic bushings, and all I did was install the shaft and then install the 2 little retaining clips there and there. You can reach them from here or in the back, or you can actually raise this and get to them up front. Just a little bit of white lithium grease on this shaft. It was a little bit rusty when I took it all apart. Cleaned everything up just with some Scotch-Brite, I think, or maybe a steel wool. I got that all cleaned out nice. So I added a little bit of something special here. Same thing I did on the Crazy Taxi. Some of this skid resistant stuff you can put on steps. You can buy this at Lowe's, Home Depot. I think I actually bought this at Lowe's. And it has the little yellow reflective piece in there that just gives it a little bit of color down there. You know, these cabinets are pretty all black, just monochromatic down there on the bottom. So this does a little bit of something. Doesn't take away too much from the original look of the cabinet. So, and also keeps your foot nice and sturdy on the gas. All right, so now let's work on the back. And to be honest with you, I messed up and I didn't take pictures of this the way it originally was installed. So I'm going to have to kind of figure this out as I go. Okay, so not taking a picture of this hasn't really hurt me. It actually went together. Uh, it's kind of self-explanatory when you look at it. So this piece here really just supports this rubber stopper that just limits the travel of the pedal itself. And then if you look down here, let's see if I can show this to you. You can see how the potentiometer arm engages. Get you all light. You can see that right there. And then as you actuate the foot pedal, you can see it turns the potentiometer, letting you know that we're hitting the gas. So that is that. So then the last thing to do is to just connect the two springs together. So yeah, so you just got the two screws that hold down the potentiometer bracket, the two screws that hold this stopper down. And now we're just going to take our pliers. I've already connected up top here. Let's go ahead and just put the pedal down and connect with very simple. Now these springs have a little sleeve on them, so I hit them with a little bit of white lithium grease. It's kind of hard to see, but I just wanted to have a little layer of protection between the plastic and the steel. There you go. Put it on there, and boom, we have the pedal assembly. Oh yeah, sweet. So here we go. So now, that's what you want to see. All right, let's go bolt this on the cabinet. Okay, so that's going to do it for the Roadblasters cabinet, at least for now. There's a couple things left to do. One is the coin mech. I have to completely disassemble it, clean it, paint it, and then we're going to get some new bulbs and hopefully some new lenses for the coin return buttons and make that thing really pop. And that would just absolutely complete the rebuild portion of the cabinet. I got a couple pieces of artwork I'm waiting for, new marquee and then new side art from Joe Sabo. Once that gets on the cabinet and the coin mech is done, the cabinet, for all intents and purposes, is done, except for this one modification that I'm trying to do with lighting the triggers on this yoke. The kit comes to us from Arcade Jason. You can actually find him on YouTube, and he gives you like a tutorial of installing it on the Star Wars yoke, which is what it was originally intended for. The difference between that yoke and this is that there is an extra potentiometer on the Star Wars yoke, which makes it easy to grab the plus 5 volts, which obviously you need plus and minus 5 volts to make this kit work. Now the minus is right here. That's what we're making and breaking with these switches. That's no big deal. I've got the new switches. I'm going to go ahead and wire this up. But to grab the plus 5, I'm going to have to go deeper inside the cabinet and figure out a good place to get that. So that's going to require a little bit more research, a little bit more testing, and it's also going to require a separate video. So look for that video to come separately. And I think once I get all that done, we'll finally be able to step back and take a look at the Roadblasters cabinet in its complete stages. And then I'm actually really going to enjoy playing this, because this is one of those cabinets. Like I said, this is one that really takes me back to my childhood. 1987, I was 11, and remember playing this a lot as a kid, and it was just a ton of fun. But anyway, everybody, thank you so much for stopping by and checking out the project, checking out the channel. Y'all have a blessed day, and I will see all of you next time.